Hi, Movement for Reform Judaism. This is Jeremy Lee here, speaking from Jerusalem, this wonderful backdrop behind me, wishing Mazal Tov to the movement on this fantastic anniversary. A couple of very brief reflections, thoughts that kind of go with the congratulations. I was born, I think, in a way, into the movement. My father was the rabbi at Edgware District Reform Synagogue, and that's where I grew up. And from there, kind of, as it were, kind of my entry point to the Jewish world, loving the small parochial intra kind of community world, and at the same time, I think, being taught from a very, very early age that the world was bigger than us. And actually, a really fantastic memory I have was going to conferences, which I never understood, but as a child, I think they were held in Bournemouth, which was an effort of my dad and others to try and promote Israel and Israel awareness within the Reform movement, because as many understood, I think, that never been the most straightforward relationship, Reform Judaism and Israel at various different stages over its history. I was involved in RSY. I came on Shnat with RSY. I went on Israel tour with RSY. I was Maskir of RSY Netza, I think 1988 to 89. I made Aliyah in 1992 and spent most of my life since then teaching members of the Reform movement, either on Machon, Etgar. Now I teach trainee Reform rabbis at HUC, and also through Jewish Journeys, which is a program established by myself and Julian Resnick to promote the idea of traveling to Jewish communities in other parts of the Jewish world. What's the point, and why connect that to a Mazal Tov on an anniversary? Because these are all moments in the life of the Jewish people where we are trying to look beyond our own selves, our own localized self, without denying who we are, but engaging with and being part of a big, wide debate. And that cuts across, by the way, space, obviously, to connect with the Jewish world around the world, but also across time, to engage in the big conversations of the Jewish people at other moments of history. One of the great exciting things of leading Kietz Netza, a program then for 17-year-olds from RSY and LJY, to sites in Europe and then later on through Jewish Journeys, is this chance to connect with Jewish communities like us, but also a little bit different from us in other parts of Europe. The big message, and I think for me, as I said, as a kid growing up, going to these conferences in Bournemouth where I never understood why, surely we were connected to Israel, why do we need a special conference to promote it? Because actually that's a little bit of a debate. How connected are we to the other parts of the Jewish world? One of the things that I love about living in Jerusalem, and the reason I chose this as the backdrop for this very brief message, is that everything looks so peaceful when you sit on the mountaintop looking down over the city, but the reality is, this is 2 minutes from my house, it's very loud and raucous and dissonant and lots of arguments. And that's what makes it so wonderful. That's part of the joy, I think, for me, of living in Jerusalem. I belong to Kol HaNeshama, a Reform synagogue in Jerusalem, and being joined up and part of all the big arguments of the Jewish world today. Being an insider and being connected without having to let go of anything of myself, but at the same time not letting go of the sense that I feel connected to my fellow Jews wherever they are. So just to bring it back, Mazal Tov on reaching the ripe old age, MRJ, and here's to many, many more years of being a serious movement that is connected both to itself inwardly and outwardly to the big wide Jewish world. And that for me is the most enlivening and exciting part, to know that we have a voice connected to everybody else.